Hey, I'm Ryan, this is my brother Daniel, and this is Rolls in the Family. And today we are going to be talking about the games that we feel have the most satisfying combos. We love combos in games.
Yes, we do.
And thought this would be a fun topic. Little did we know how difficult of a topic it was going to be.
Quite challenging.
I think we struggled. We haven't shared our list with each other, but it sounds like both of us struggled with this list as much as we have with any list we've done. And I mean, I went back and forth even minutes before the video as far as which games to include. I'm curious for you, the viewer, what comes to mind with this topic. If you want to share that in the comments, what are the games you've played that have the best combos, the most satisfying combos?
Wow.
And we were talking about it's a little bit of a tricky to define thing, because there's kind of the angle of like combos of like chain effects, like I get this bonus which gives me this bonus which gives me this bonus, but then there's combos of like, you know, two cards or two elements that come together with their own abilities, but together, you know, it's a combo, and it makes something happen.
I love when you use a word to define the definition.
Yes, I'm going to explain. See, a combo, it's much like the combination. So this list is very much. I mean, all lists are kind of in the eye of the beholder, but this one especially feels like we'll see how each of us interpreted this.
Yeah.
We will include links to all of the games that we talk about in the description below if you want to check them out for yourself. But let's head over and see what squeaked onto the list for Daniel at number 5.
Yes, squeaking onto the list is a game that really is kind of. Combos is really like the entire game, I would say. Like, this isn't even just like, oh, the game has combos. It's kind of the game is combos in terms of having cards and trying to figure out the best combination of those cards to produce the most points. And this is going to go to Fantasy Realms. Fantasy Realms brings me so much joy in how just that process of trying to build the best hand as possible that scores, in the best way possible. And what I love about it with the combos in it is, it's like, okay, this card causes these cards to score this way, but then, if I add this card, well, that's going to make this. And so you can really get into some, some interesting situations of trying to figure out, is it better to get rid of this card and take that one and whatnot? But there's also potential for some pretty incredible combos in this game. I'll never forget my wife pulling off the most, like, I'm not sure you can pull off a better combo than that
it had
one.
The gem of changes or whatever it's called that is like for sequential numbers, but then she also had the big, like, what's the one with the candle? There's like the 3 things. If you get it, it's like 100 points or something.
Yeah, so she just pulled off this ridiculous score in this game, and so it really has the potential for that. But man, this really is like combos is the game. It's hand of cards, and it's a short game. You're and on your turn you can either draw from the top or take from the existing cards that people have discarded. Very simple rule set, but trying to build the best combo in your hand, and there's just really fun potential for the different kind of combos that can happen. So starting off with a bit of a lighter one, but one that I think really hits the combo itch well. Bet you've never said those 2 words together. Isn't that right, Ryan? Combo itch.
yeah. Always for us on Rolls in the Family. And Fantasy Realms was an honorable mention for me. It just missed my list. I think one of the things that's very interesting with the combos in Fantasy Realms is there's this aspect of like negative combos. Like there's cards that you really don't want together, or this card makes these types of cards worse. And so when you're trying to assemble that whole hand, it's like trying to maximize the positive combos while also avoiding it. It's always fun to go for some of those ones that are like huge pointers, but they're very hard to pull off because they, all these other things are going to be penalized or something if you have them.
If you can get it. Yes.
If you can get it. Very satisfying. Very nice. My number 5, I had several other games there, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I almost forgot to put this game on the list, which is pretty much a requirement at this point. This is Agricola, making it in at my number 5. This one, it was going back and forth with a few other ones, and anybody that's a regular on the channel knows we love our Agricola. But this is definitely one piece that we really love about Agricola. True. Is getting your hand at the beginning of the game, and you get this initial search for combos in your hand of like, this game, what things did I get that can work well together? And that in and of itself is a very fun little exercise from this limited pool of cards. But then it's this kind of satisfaction of, can you make it happen? Can you actually through the game? And usually it works out a little different than you thought it was going to. But when you get a few cards that work really well together and you're actually able to, in the hard difficulties of this farming simulator, make it come together, it is hugely satisfying. And it is a big thing that draws you to come back to the game. Again and again is you're going to get to play with new combos within the system.
Yeah.
So I had to check. I was like, am I just putting it on?
How much? Had to get our obligatory sponsor, Agricola.
Yes, Agricola. I had to like really work to make sure I was just looking through the lens of this topic, right? Like only through it, but I think it still made the list for me.
That's true, Ryan. You know, when you got combos like the wet nurse card, you know, that one. Talk about combos.
Talk about combos.
That one is OP.
Early.
So
proud.
Very nice, Ryan. My number 4 is a very epic game, epic cooperative game, and it's a game that you are, building up your power throughout the game to, in the climax of the game, deliver some just unbelievable combos of cards getting played down. And this is going to go to Mage Knight. So this one, probably if I think of like power in combos, this one really, really jumps high for me because I think about the moment in this game, where we go off kind of on our own journeys, and then we get to that final battle together, and we're divvying up the monsters, and man, the way the cards are getting throughout the game. That's one of the things I love about the game is the cards are just so powerful and so impactful, and the way that you're using them together and like in that final fight is just you feel the unbelievable nature of kind of the combos that you're able to pull off kind of between
especially
stuff.
If you were able to come into it with gems built up, the actual crystallite mana, because that's what really lets you activate better versions.
Yeah, the better versions, all the stuff. And so, in the final battle, you're like, okay, I'm triggering this, and it's gonna cause this, and I trigger, and you just feel this like, you know what I mean, Ryan? Like we're just like everyone pictures.
Daniel does exactly that at this point in the game.
You know what I mean? Like I'm assuming everyone else does that when they're playing Mage Knight. So
how could you not?
Yeah, Ryan. We talk so much about loving Mage Knight because of that progression, because of the power that you feel at the end, and it really is just the combinations of what you're pulling off. It is so satisfying to be triggering all of these things, and if I do this and get this and use this to get this, and you just deliver the final blow. Man, Mage Knight is one game of combos.
Wow, that was quite a spiel.
Did I sell you on that, right?
Yeah, you sold me so much. It actually missed my list. And just hearing you talk about it makes me question whether that was,
wow.
That was a mistake.
Was it the animated?
That was most of it, I think.
Wasn't any of the actual words
halfway through that I realized maybe I should have included it.
Very nice.
Yeah, my number 4 maybe doesn't make me quite do that. Not quite, but this is one that has a lot of different powerful elements coming together around a really tight game. And there's just kind of layers of where the combos are coming. Like a lot of my other games on my list, there's like this clear thing in the game that's the combos. This one kind of feels like there's kind of some different parts of the game you could talk about as kind of having combos. And this is Lorenzo Il Magnifico. And so kind of the first one, assuming you're playing with kind of the Houses of Renaissance modules, you're getting this powerful house ability. And then you're pairing that with then a hand of leaders you're getting that have different abilities that you can get out. And you pair that with you're going to be acquiring cards during the game, and some of those might give you abilities. And so there's kind of just these combinations of like special powers coming into play that's very satisfying to find ones that work well together and get them out, especially because it's wrapped around such a tight, unforgiving game that just feels so good to like get that power that lets you kind of do more within that system. But then there's like the layer underneath that of you're building up these 2 rows of cards of your production row and then kind of your like buildings row. And those you're trying to acquire cards that kind of combo and work well together to, you know, produce the right things and be able to like convert things efficiently. And then they kind of interplay because you've got your green ones that are kind of your production of resources. Well, if you can run that and that produces like the perfect things to then feed through your building row, you can get some really nice combos, you know, within that. So this one, it kept like popping off my list and popping back on. I was like having a hard time, like, because it's kind of spread throughout the game, but I think it just in a few places gives me a lot of that feeling of just really satisfying things coming together. And it's a lot of what I really love about Lorenzo.
Yeah, you're probably not making the animated movements like Mage Knights during that one.
At least not until you get excommunicated. But they're a little,
oh boy.
Yeah, it's different emotion in that moment, but
that is true.
Similar flailing, yes.
Similar flailing. Very nice, Ryan. So nice. It was also my number 3.
Oh, man,
Lorenzo
we've done it again.
I purposely do that so Ryan can, you know, talk about all the important stuff first, and I can just.
So dang, I can remember how the game works.
I can just come clean up here. No, honestly, I was thinking about that. You know, those two rows that you're building. It's such an interesting kind of, you know, engine combo that you're building because you have the tension of, do you go with the higher number ones that are more powerful, but you got to hope that, you know, a 5 or a 6 gets rolled to run them, or do you know, load up on a bunch of low ones that aren't as powerful, but man, you're able to just hit them every time. So even like the type of comboing that is happening, you have a little decision to make around that. But totally, I mean, the stuff that you get at the start of the game, the houses, you know, all that stuff, it interplays into all of it. You know, it's exactly what you were saying. It's not just one thing, but there's just like combos here and combos here. And that's why this game that is so dry and, you know, it's just a dry Euro, and yet we are just having like so much fun in it. And, you know, you think about it, we like usually at least some kind of theme, you know, like I think even like an Agricola has like at least something going for it thematically. It's a little
more flavorful. Yeah.
This is dry. This is really dry. But I think the combos and the excitement that we get as those really build throughout the game are the reason this one is so high for the both of us. So overlap there, Ryan, with Lorenzo El Magnifico, a game chock full of combos.
Chock full of combos. It is interesting to think about how Lorenzo, like, it so easily could have been just an all right game if they hadn't layered on just these like huge like things that push it. Like if you don't add in the houses and you don't add in the leaders and you don't add in some of those like blue cards and cards you get that are just like, oh my gosh, this is like extremely powerful. Like they definitely push the abilities. It would have been like a fine game.
Right.
But you put all that stuff together and it blows it wide open, and that's really what we love about it.
So. For sure.
Cool. I do not anticipate we're going to cross over on my number 3. I'd be surprised. I'd be shocked. Outright shocked, honestly.
Oh, I know.
Largely because I know that you're not don't enjoy this game as much as I do, which is probably what I say every time it shows up in one of my lists.
Good combos.
And it does have great combos. This is Trois.
Yeah, I saw this one.
And Trois, kind of a similar feel to Lorenzo as far as kind of theme and aesthetic
this
here.
Is even worse.
But Trois has this fascinating aspect. I mean, it's got this interesting, dice action selection mechanism of drafting the dice and sending them somewhere to do something. But throughout the game, you're going to have these activity cards come up that are randomized every game. And each activity card has an ability that if you throw dice through that, it'll trigger a certain amount of times, by dividing by some value. So if it's a 3 and you send 10 pips worth of dice, you would activate it 3 times. And so a lot of the game of Trois is figuring out how to make your big move, because there's like no ceiling on these different things that you could be throwing dice through. And they start bringing out potentially ones that are less about like executing those and more about using those to execute other things better. So you might get one that lets you put little cubes on it that like now you can spend those cubes to like up the value of all of your dice in a group or something. And when that all comes together, that you like set up all these things and set up a power so I can use the power on this card to do this, to get these dice, to throw it through here for 20 and activate this card, 6 times. That's going to give me a bunch of points or something. The payoff is just so concentrated. It's like everything just is to this one moment. And oftentimes, like a game of Trois is won on one of those moments. Like somebody just really pulled off the connection of everything.
Yeah.
And so when I think what powered it up my list a lot is honestly just the fact that we used the word satisfying for like the topic, because man, that moment of when you pull that together and really push, almost feeling like you're breaking the game, how much you're like getting this one card to spit out whatever it is. Sometimes it's not even points. It's like money. It's like, I just got almost 30 money, which in that game is hugely powerful because I pulled off this combo.
Yeah.
Hugely satisfying, and really is the biggest draw, I think, to Trois, paired with the fact that those activity cards are different every single game. So you're always looking for what's the combo I'm going to go after this game, and how am I going to make it happen? So
yeah,
I find it to be a game of hugely satisfying combos.
Yeah, it's interesting to think. I think we both love games that, and not a lot of games really are able to pull it off well, but give you the feeling that you're breaking the game, but within the confines of the mechanics, where you're not actually breaking it, but you feel so powerful that it's like, oh my goodness, this is just beyond the normal, just a good play. It's like, this is unbelievable what's happening.
Yeah, because you can have a game that's balanced, and it's balanced with everybody feeling like a little bit powerful. Yeah. And you can have a game that's balanced because everybody feels bonkers powerful. Yeah. But the second one sure is a lot more fun.
Very true.
Because everybody just feels like it's a lot harder to balance. It's hard to, come up with these crazy abilities that actually aren't too overpowered. But, sometimes they're fun enough that you don't care too much if they're a little unbalanced.
That's right. My number 2 is one that was already mentioned, is a beloved board game, and yet I'm going to argue Ryan did not do it justice on the shame on Ryan for not doing this game justice on just how incredible and satisfying these combos are. And this is going to go to Agricola, Ryan.
Wow. Thought the day would ever come that Daniel would be telling me I ranked Agricola too low on the list.
Yeah, shame on you. Because I tell you what, that moment at the start of Agricola, when you get dealt those 14 cards, 7 occupations, 7 minor improvements, Ryan, it is Combo City. Like, you're sitting there and we're all sitting in silence. We said, like 10 minutes or so. We're just going through, reading the cards. And so you have all of those cards paired with, all the major improvements that are there every game, all the, the actions that are going to be coming out, and you are just thinking of combos. And it's so interesting because you're thinking of combos, but to kind of all get to the same end, goal. Like this isn't a game where it's like you just mash one combo to get one category, crazy. In fact, Agricola discourages that. It very much wants you kind of balanced across the board. But what I love so much is that there's just these wild combos that can get you there in just some crazy ways. And so it makes each play of it so rewarding because you know where you're trying to get, but man, you're like, look at this crazy path of I played this occupation and paired it with this minor improvement, and I was able to, work these back and forth. And so, and all of that within a game that is incredibly tight and difficult. And I don't know, maybe that's a little bit of a theme here for us. I know that's the case with Lorenzo as well, but incredible combos put within a tight, just, because a game that's tight, you're looking for anything to give you, that how am I gonna, get ahead here? What's the thing? Because it's just so tight here. And so these cards are really the key of if you can find something. It's like you're, gosh, I love thrift store shopping. It's like I'm looking through my cards and I'm like, what's the hidden gem? What pairing of cards is gonna unlock something that is so much bigger than even just the individual card? And I have memories of combos pulled off in this game, and it's so satisfying. So Ryan, shame on you. You did a disservice to Agricola.
Yeah, let's be honest. I'm probably getting to the point where I'm like getting biased against Agricola because I feel bad that I talk it up so much. It probably hurts it in my rankings.
It's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good.
We're all about being authentic on this channel.
Yeah.
I think you brought up an interesting point about how because Agricola requires you to be well balanced, that makes the combos feel very different than other games because it isn't just find this broken combo that just lets you push to victory in that one area. It's like find that broken combo that gets you there faster, so that now you have this new puzzle of okay, I've got more time now to do these other things than I normally would. How do I so that's very satisfying to you get more interesting game. It isn't just like I found the combo. I'm gonna milk
you're
that
not just
combo.
doing the same thing the rest of the game.
I have a new puzzle now of okay, that did that. What can I combo now, or what can I do to get another bit of efficiency? It's so about how can you get more time to be able to push that ceiling of points even higher. Yes, I think you did it well, Daniel.
Thank you. Gosh,
it always warms my heart to just listen to anybody talk about Agricola positively.
Yeah,
so
very nice.
My number 2 is kind of a stand-in for a whole genre of games that very much leans into this topic. This just happens to be the one that I have in my collection that I've probably played the most. I say probably, I definitely have played the most. But there's a lot of games in this genre that I think for other people would come to mind for this topic. But my pick is going to be Lord of the Rings, the card game. And so you could substitute in here any LCG, a lot of collectible card games, any of these games where you actually are doing a deck building period ahead of time, which that isn't part of the game, but that's Combo City, as you put it, right? Like you're taking your pool of cards and figuring out how do I build a deck. And so that isn't as much part of the game itself, but in the game you get the satisfaction then of I built this deck, this, thing that is going to get randomized, and I get to see how it performs. I get to see what combos come up and did I construct the deck in a way that it's flexible to have a lot of different combos come up?
Yeah.
And so it's hugely satisfying to get to play that after being the one that constructed it. And I've been playing Lord of the Rings, the card game, for example. Recently, I've had a deck that kind of centers around the Elrond as one of the main characters, and he has this thing that he can get his harp thing. It's called Vilya, and it has this thing that you can spend it or exhaust it for the turn to auto play the top card of your deck without paying the cost, which is a very fun thing to get to do. But then I have other things in that deck that let me manipulate what cards are going to be on top or know what's going to be on top. And then I have the other deck supplementing in ways that I can get back Elrond and potentially do it more than once and all these things. And so it's just fun then to go into these different scenarios, and get to see how does that play out. And that's just one example of kind of the combos I have in that deck. I have other characters that I'm hoping can get certain things and pull certain things off. As I was thinking about this list more, I was just realizing how much the satisfaction payoff is kind of elevated when you constructed it and then are going to see if you can pull it off in practice. So yeah, it ended up shooting up my list as I thought about it more.
Yeah, gosh, I just started playing Arkham Horror, the card game, and we're just starting to, I haven't gotten into like we're just playing with the starter decks now, but I mean, I feel like that type of game, it would launch up on a list like this, because that just sounds incredibly fun to craft a deck, and you're literally just looking for combos, right? Like as you're building it. So very nice, Ryan. We are coming around to the best, most satisfying combos. We could overlap here. We could.
It's possible.
So you just talked about how the satisfaction of deck building and like looking for combos is a huge part of why Lord of the Rings, the card game, was your number 2. This game takes it a step further and puts the deck building into the game. This is going to go to Millennium Blades. Ryan, this game, it's everything that you're saying about the joy of like what you're doing outside of the game, and then instead put it a game where you're literally a collector of cards, deck building, and everyone simultaneously is paying money to buy packs and fan through cards and pick which
in real time
and pick cards and try to put a deck together that has the best combos, so that when you go into the tournament you can do well, along with all the you're doing some set collection stuff on the side as well. This is a game of just searching for combos, and there's lots of fun combos in the game of interplay between cards, and so I love it because you get in real time, build combos, and you get very immediate like satisfaction of you build it, and then you get to try it and see how it goes, and then you could continue refining on the combo, maybe try to build that combo out a little bit more, or you know what, just throw it in maybe it was horrible, or just throw it in the trash. Let's just pivot, try something totally different. Like, I think the experimenting nature of trying crazy combos, I think, is really why this one is at the top to me. Like, a lot of the other games have combos, but a lot of times they're like kind of they're within just kind of the kind of maybe more normal patterns of delivering awesome combos, whereas I feel like this, man, you just have such creative liberty to go wherever the heck you want with combos. And I mean, it might be terrible, but it also could be incredible. And I just think that factor is why Millennium Blades is at the top for me. It delivers such a satisfying combo, the building of combos and the executing of those combos, seeing them play out in tournament play. And I just want to play this game again, Ryan.
I know, it's come up a few times recently, and I think in one of our videos I talked about how I was gonna play it at my next game day, and then it again fell through with PvP, so I still have not gotten it to the table. However, Daniel, you took many of the words right out of my mouth, as Millennium Blades is also my number 1, and kind of what you said was exactly what I was going to say about it, of where something like Lord of the Rings is letting you do that satisfying combo deck building beforehand, and then you're getting the satisfaction of seeing if those combos, you can make it happen in the actual gameplay. Here you get to do it in both those things within the game, and you get to do it 3 times. You get to do 3 rounds of it. Man. I think another thing that's different from maybe something like Fantasy Realms or Agricola is just the quantity of cards you're going to get to see in the game.
How many cards do you have now, Ryan?
Searching for combos. Like, it's one thing to look at Agricola and be like, what are the combos within these 14 cards? It's another to just be buying cards and looking and like you're weighing it with also like, but I could also use this in my collection. Because there are some other things in Millennium Blade, so it isn't as simple as like what is the best things together, but that feeling of, and it's got a little bit of the Fantasy Realms feeling of, I need a whole, because the deck in Millennium Blades is really more like a hand. You're able to bring, I think, like 9 cards or something to the tournament. And so it's not just what to go to go well together. It's what's the whole hand that goes well together. What are my reserve cards that have like some nice flexibility, because the tournament doesn't always play out like you think it's going to. You might get somebody might do something that flips a card that you were really counting on being up. And do you have some flexible cards that can come in and shift to a different combo so that you can still pull something off? It's if you like because I think we're finding that for us, there's kind of two things with combos. There's the execution of the combo, but then there's the search. And that's definitely playing a part. You'll see it a lot on our list here, that we find that search for the combo to be hugely satisfying. And if that's you, Millennium Blades is the search for the combos, because you just get to go through so many cards, and it is so fun because the sets are all themed and there's like all these cultural references and things. But yeah, totally agree. It is kind of the ultimate search for combos game, and how much within one game it lets you engage in that activity over and over. And get to then compete with it. Like you get to see what combos did other people find, and how did we stack up? There's absolutely nothing like it. And yeah, look at that crossover
with the number one. Boom!
Definitive. It is the definitive most satisfying game with combos. There were a few. This was a hard list, Daniel. I had a few honorable mentions. Wow. I thought about Res Arcana. Res Arcana's got. That's all about that initial draft and like getting this engine going. I thought about Paperback Adventures, which is this roguelike that you get more things and combos. You're just making that face because you don't like making words. Right. I even thought about Space Base. Yeah, because Space Base has the occasional thing where if you can pull off one of those things to hit one of the really big. So there was a lot of good ones that I was like. Sad to maybe not get to talk about, but that's a pretty nice group of games there, Daniel, with some pretty nice combos.
Hey, if you like combos, we've got links to every one of these games down below. You can click on those, go check them out for yourself, and we've got even more videos just for you. Click on them right there. We'll see you in the next one.